The movies that time forgot. Okay, welcome back to another episode of The Movies That Time Forgot, a review show where I talk about the films that people don't know about or just don't remember anymore. And today we're going to be looking at an old film from 1984 called Dreamscape. Let's take a look.
When you close your eyes, the adventure begins.
Dreamscape, or as I like to call it, 80s Inception. Co-written by Chuck Russell, who would go on to, ironically, write and direct A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, with an all-star cast starring a young Dennis Quaid, the late great Max von Sydow, the late great Christopher Plummer, two of my favorites. You've got Eddie Albert, you've got Kate Capshaw. So right up front, gonna get this right out there, there's gonna be spoilers for this movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this review. The film is about this young man named Alex, played by Dennis Quaid. He is a psychic. He has telekinetic powers, telepathic powers, and he was experimented on when he was a teenager by Max von Sydow's character, Dr. Novotny. Many years later, Dr. Novotny and his team of scientists at a college have developed a machine called the Dreamlink machine that allows people to enter people's dreams when they're asleep, when they're in a subconscious state, very much like Inception. Dr. Novotny developed this program, this research, so that in an attempt to help people who are suffering from recurring nightmares and these bad dreams, to try to see if people can go in and sort of find out what they're dreaming about, what's bothering them, and try to help them when they're awake as sort of a cognitive behavior therapy. Alex, Dennis Quaid's character, is not the only psychic. There are many other psychics at this research facility that are projecting themselves and going into these people's dreams. For whatever reason, the project isn't going very well, and Novotny wants one of the best. So Novotny contacts and finds Alex. So some of these people that need help, so for example, there's this one man whose marriage isn't doing too well. They're having a lot of problems in their sex life. Alex hooks up to the dream machine with him. In this man's dreams and nightmares, he has these nightmares of his wife cheating on him. And so when he wakes up, they can help him. Alex also meets another fellow psychic played by David Patrick Kelly named Tommy Ray. And Tommy Ray is just right off the bat, he's like a bully. He's so cocky and arrogant, and he becomes sort of a rival and a competitor to Alex because Tommy Ray is also very gifted and very powerful. Only thing is Tommy Ray has a pretty shady backstory. Apparently he was suspected in killing and murdering his own father. Now another patient at this clinic or research facility is this little boy named Buddy, and he's having the most problems. He's having these recurring nightmares, and this becomes a big part of the movie. All these psychics are going into his dreams with him, and they're coming out vegetables because his dreams are so intense and so frightening that it just leaves all the other psychics lobotomized. So Alex goes in to see, what the problem is. Buddy is having these recurring nightmares of this monster called the Snake Man. Now here's the thing. The Snake Man is not scary at all. I get that Buddy, the little boy, is scared of it, but I don't know, maybe it's because the movie hasn't really held up very well. I mean, even if I had seen this movie as a kid, which I didn't, even I wouldn't have been afraid of the Snake Man as a kid. Why Buddy keeps dreaming about this Snake Man every night? We never know. What's the genesis of the Snake Man? Did he read it in a storybook or a comic book? Did he see it in a movie? Is it just his imagination? Where did it come from? We never know. It's complete mystery. Just for some reason, he dreams about this thing every night, and it just affects him really bad. And all these psychics that go into the dream are so terrified of it. And it's like, why are the psychics afraid of it? They're grown men. They're adults. Why does it bother them? It's not that scary. Either way, Alex goes into the dream, confronts the Snake Man with Buddy. And of course, Alex gets afraid of it too, because all grown men are afraid of boogeymen. But Buddy ends up being able to conquer his fears and vanquish the Snake Man. He kills it, wakes up, and everything's right. At the same time, the President of the United States is having recurring nightmares and dreams of a nuclear fallout, because this is during the Cold War. He's worried that he's gonna have to initiate a nuclear war, or the Russians are gonna initiate nuclear war, you know, that there's just gonna be a fallout. And he hasn't slept in months because of this. You know, he has these, and these dreams are actually kind of creepy. He has these dreams of these wastelands, these people who have been eradicated with radiation, and they're all like melting and like scarred and burnt and everything, and they look like zombies, and it's actually kind of creepy. So the president, he wants to make a disarmament deal with the Russians at this new delegation or convention in Geneva. And this introduces a character named Bob Blair, played by Christopher Plummer. I'm just gonna get this out there. Bob Blair's the bad guy. Shocker. Ironically, Bob Blair, because he works for the government, he actually secretly runs the Dreamlink machine program. Bob Blair also has his own agenda, his own secret, sinister agenda. He wants to know if it's possible for people to go into other people's dreams and kill them, assassinate them in their dreams, and make it look like the person died in their sleep. This is where Tommy Ray comes in, David Patrick Kelly, because it turns out that he is indeed a psychopath and he did indeed murder his father. Bob Blair really just wants to assassinate the president. He wants Tommy Ray to go in and kill him. Here's where the movie kind of is misleading. The movie is more of a political espionage thriller. You know, spies and assassins, which would have been fine if they had marketed it as such. But they didn't, and I'll get more into that later. The biggest problem with the movie for me is that there's only like 4, maybe 5 dream sequences in the whole movie. And even then, most of them are short and quick, and they're not very they're not very surreal. Except for the ending dream sequence, this big climax. But even then, like, it doesn't last very long. You know, only the scenes with the Snake Man are the ones that stick out the most. So in the third act, the president falls asleep and Tommy Ray goes into his dream without the Dreamlink machine. Dennis Quaid, Alex, also goes into his dream to try to protect him. So you have these 2 psychics in the president's dream. And this final dream sequence in this third act is kind of cool. It's a cool set piece, and that's where all like the big special effects take place, and that's basically the highlight of the movie. That's where all like the fun stuff happens, but even then, it's actually kind of anticlimactic and underwhelming. So long story short, the president, he kills Tommy Ray in the dream, and then Tommy Ray dies in real life, and the president is saved. So Alex goes into Bob Blair's dream one night, again, turns himself into the Snake Man. I don't know what the hell the deal is with the Snake Man. The Snake Man is not scary. You know, it's not, these are grown men. The Snake Man is not scary. Anyway, he turns into the Snake Man and he scares the pants off Bob Blair in his dreams. So basically Bob Blair wakes up as a catatonic. And then Alex and Jane go on this train together and, you know, go off into the sunset. It's a happy ending. I actually didn't grow up with this movie. I never saw this movie when I was a kid. I found out about it a lot later in life, like after high school or so. I remember I used to see the poster all the time. I used to see like a DVD copy at my local video store, but I never watched it. And I always wanted to watch it. I always thought it looked really cool because it had this great and beautiful Drew Struzan poster. Drew Struzan was, you know, the greatest poster artist of all time, and that made me want to see the movie. You know, it looked like such a big grand adventure. And I think therein lies the problem with the movie. I mean, it didn't feel like the same movie. You know, the poster, and you look at the poster and then you watch the movie and it's like they're 2 completely different movies. I think the marketing people, they tried to market the film as being like Indiana Jones. You know, they tried to market it as being this big adventure. But the problem is that the movie's not like that. It's basically just, you know, espionage and, you know, assassins and government stuff. Whenever you had a Drew Struzan poster, it made you want to see the film. And whenever Drew Struzan did a poster, it was almost like a promise, you know, like, or the filmmakers they were pressured to live up to the poster. You know, if the poster was really good, they had to make sure that they delivered a movie that was good enough to live up to that image. The effects are really not really good. I mean, even for 1984, they're pretty bad. They don't hold up very well. And look, I like old school effects. I really do like, you know, old stop motion effects and models and so forth. But even for 1984, these effects were pretty, like, they were not state of the art. You know, they didn't have the best effects houses. Another little piece of trivia. So A Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first Nightmare on Elm Street, came out the same year as Dreamscape. Although Dreamscape came out just 3 months before. So it's kind of interesting how, you know, two movies dealing with dreams and nightmares came out around the same time, yet Nightmare on Elm Street would go on to have this longevity. So this copy that I have here, this is another Shout Factory, Scream Factory copy. Shout Factory, Scream Factory are a distributor. They restore and re-release old cult classic films on Blu-ray. So you always get a really cool slipcover with these movies with newly commissioned artwork. This particular poster is illustrated and painted by Paul Shipper. Paul Shipper is a very talented and great artist, very much in the style of Drew Struzan. He could very well even be a protege of Drew Struzan. And the best part, not only do you get a really cool poster on the slipcover, but you get the original theatrical one sheet on a reversible sleeve. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the old and you get the new. That's pretty much it. So let's get into the final verdict, the final rating. So should the movie be remembered or forgotten? I don't think the movie should be remembered. I don't want to say that I like completely hate the movie. You know, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. For a movie, I guess the way I could sum it up is, for a movie called Dreamscape, there's not a whole lot of dreaming going on. You know, it's a political thriller. It's not a film that I could recommend and say, oh yeah, you should definitely check this out. This is a hidden gem. If it is a forgotten movie, it's unfortunately, it's forgotten for a reason. Final rating out of 5 stars, what am I going to give it? I think I might just give it a 2, unfortunately. I mean, that's all there is to it, really. Okay, that concludes this episode, this edition of the Movies That Time Forgot. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys leave a comment. I will be taking suggestions if there's something you want for me to watch and review. Make sure you subscribe to Three Wiseman Films and stay tuned because I got some more coming on the way. Okay, guys, thanks again, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, bye.